So you want to have a competitive account in Rise of Kingdoms. This video will act as a guide for competitive free-to-play and low spenders who are looking to restart the game. If you are a new player to Rock, I still suggest you watch this video, but some topics and ideas will be explained as if you have experience in the game, so do your own research into specific concepts after this video. I'm making this guide as I recently finished KVK 1 and I'm heading into KVK 2. To get a sense of how much I've spent, my account age is 176 days. I've spent on daily gem supplies, loosened scrolls with around 11 Righteous of History, and 2 Vanquisher bundles purchased. Dailies were rarely ever bought, maybe 9 in total. Therefore, my account acts as a decent benchmark for what free-to-play and low spenders should be aiming for entering KVK 2. Now let's get into the first chapter. Before creating your restart account, it is crucial you choose a restart project to plan with. You can browse for them on the official Rock Discord. So, what are you looking for in a project? The most important things are qualified and experienced leadership, notable amounts of high spenders to fuel gold chests and secure home kingdom, and the project has a decent member count, preferably 500 plus. You should be able to get a decent sense of these factors after chatting in the Restart's Discord server for a week or so. This also means that you should join several Restart Project Discord servers to scope out which one is the best. Now, an additional tip for number 3, make sure that the members are not bots. To do this, click on random offline members and check for similar account creation dates. If you see many created on the same day, that project is likely inflating its member count. Now that you hopefully have chosen a restart project, we can go on to chapter 2. This guide is for the top 1% of free-to-play and low spenders, so boosters and farms are non-negotiable. So how does this entire process work? Here's a flowchart showing what needs to be done before and during the sleeper process. I will not cover what a sleeper is. There are many pieces of content that explain what they are. You can see here that the boosters are created 8 days before your main account is created in the Sleeper Kingdom, and across those 18 days it farms resources. Once your kingdom reaches 10 days old, you can migrate your boosters into the kingdom to transfer resources, since we struggle with resources in the early game. You can keep these boosters and migrate them into Home Kingdom after 30 days. However, you will need to farm another passport. I would suggest at least 3 farms for KVK 1 and expanding to 5 farms by KVK 2 so that you will, and eventually hopefully, be able to run T5. Now, everyone knows the Hidden Lotus, and it's been debated by the community whether you should be pushing for this in the first week, especially as a free-to-play player. Now, I'm here to tell you that it's kind of mandatory to push for the skin if you want to be considered a competitive player. The skin itself is not important, however, having the skin gives 2 benefits. People in the Restart group acknowledge you are active and respect you, and entry into the top alliance is gated by power before KVK 1. Staying within the power requirement allows you to claim gold chests daily, which is pivotal for your account. Well, how do I get the skin then? It mainly relies on your ability to play for at least 6 hours a day, most of which is dedicated to clearing fog and spawn chaining barbs, which will be covered later in the section. To push power as efficiently as possible, get all commanders to level 10 whilst pushing your city hall as high as possible. Upgrading gold mines and hospitals are the most efficient way to do this with your speedups. I suggest checking out the Logic Bank if you have any questions or would like a full guide on the Hidden Lotus process. After getting the Hidden Lotus, use speedups on building only to keep up with the power requirement. Your highest priority is CH22 for those 5 marches, and after that avoid using universals on building. Slowly upgrade your way to CH25 before KVK 1. And as for tech, it is imperative you only look at the econ tree before pre-KVK. This is because after unlocking Tier 3, there is no incentive to unlock T4 early, as you should not be partaking in any home kingdom wars. If there are kingdom threatening conflicts, migrate out. Only after Mathematics 10 and Engineering 10 you are allowed to unlock T4, with day 65 of your account being a reasonable benchmark for your first T4. Try to hoard everything for a 20 gold head event with full buffs, which I will describe in the next chapter. For tech, before KVK 1 opens, you should aim for 778 Little 3, 8-8 Troop Specific, and Max Machinery and Cutting and Polishing for Academy 24. The efficiency of how you use your speedups can determine if you get T5 before KVK2 or after KVK2. If you were to get one thing out of this video, it would be this. Do not use speed ups unless there are full buffs and preferably a 20 gold head event. What are full buffs in this scenario? It's Academy 24, Kingdom titles unlocked, Kingdom buff active, and a 15% rune is available. Of course, it's okay to use these speedups outside of full buffs to stay within the top alliance power requirements, as mentioned before. As for AP, you want to try and never let your AP bar fill to 1500 by spawn chaining whenever you can. Hoard all your AP bottles for Marauders in pre-KVK, but save around 30,000 as backup to push KVK1 top 20 honor. I'm going to be blunt about this, but if you don't have Twilight Falls from KVK1, you cannot be considered a competitive player. Finally, gems should be spent only on specific events, which will be covered in depth in the events chapter. The whole reason why the free-to-play playstyle is still viable is thanks to chaining and gem farming. You should be chaining every day until your kingdom age reaches day 60, which is when spawn chaining gets removed. Additionally, as soon as you hit CH22, you should begin gem farming every day with 3 to 4 marches whilst you chain, giving you maximum time efficiency. There are plenty of guides for spawn chaining, but generally use Boudica or Lohar with Sun Tzu for the AoE until you get Ethelflaed. I promise you, spawn chaining will determine how competitive you are entering KVK. If you can consistently chain for 2 hours every day leading up to day 60, your account will be better than almost every other free-to-play in that KVK. As for gem gathering, it is mandatory to gem gather in KVK, but it is best to start early as mentioned. Try to aim for 500 to 1000 gems a day in Home Kingdom, scaling up as your gathering speed increases over time. On the topic of gathering speed, aim for a 2-piece harvester set for all gathering marches, as you will be bottlenecked by the amount of bones you get naturally before KVK1, preventing you from making a 4-piece harvester set for all your gatherers. From personal experience, I capped at around 2,800 gems from gathering only in a day in KVK, which drastically accelerated my account growth as I could partake in the best value events. Talking about events, it is no surprise that as free-to-play or low spenders, you should only partake in events where you can get the most bang for your buck. Your highest priority events in the early to mid game are More Than Gems, commonly referred to as MTG, and Holy Knight's Treasure, referred to as the Egg event. Until you hit VIP 12, you need to put 50,000 gems into VIP for every MTG, which pops up every month. On top of that, it is heavily recommended to 102 spin every egg that pops up, as gear has become more prominent than ever with the tier system added to equipment a year ago. Even more, you have to 100 spin the YShi wheel at least twice if you are a F2P, which costs around 140,000 gems. So it is insanely important you don't go throwing your gems anywhere you want. Always prioritize the YShi expertise by third wheel before 100 spinning egg event. On the other hand, if you are on the higher end of a low spender, you can consider buying VIP materials every week and spinning egg until 184 spins every time. For both spending levels in the hammer event, you should save your hammers for every other cycle of this event so that you can play with 60 hammers each time. This will normally get you to stage 4, then you can spend a tiny amount of gems to complete stage 5. Finally, for Dalruk's puzzle box, clearing the first floor every time is recommended as it is slightly better than the VIP shop in terms of value. Before even creating your account, you should plan your commanders up until post KVK2 commander swap. Although infantry is still generally the best troop type in the early game, a case for archers can also be made now. Running infantry with Sun Tzu YShi in KVK1 still works extremely well, however you are losing a bit of power in KVK2 compared to people who run purist CJ, which is arguably the best KVK2 march. Alex YSG is still okay and is what I would suggest for competitive free-to-play or low-spender infantry players to go for in KVK2. However, if you wish to go for the archer route, there's two options depending on your spending level. One, if you are a free-to-play or a minimal spender, you don't have any spare gold heads as you need every single one to expertise YSG as soon as possible. That is why you should run Kusunoki YSG KVK1 as it gets the job done. Of course, it's slightly worse than Sun Tzu Waishi, but only for KVK 1, as you will be investing in Cyrus for KVK 2 and run Cyrus Waishi, which is one of the best field marches for KVK 2. Even if you spend more, you should run this route if you have a farm KVK 1, so that means no fighting, which means no use for a Thutmose, which I will talk about in option 2. As for option 2, you can run Thutmose YSG. Thutmose can be ran at 5511, although preferably at 5551 for KVK1. Expertising Thutmose and running him in KVK2 is good, although Cyrus YSG outperforms. We also need to talk about the commander swap transition, as we can transfer two commanders to SOC commanders. At the time of recording, it is best to swap whatever you invested in, so Alex, or Cyrus, or Thutmose, for a QSH and swap another gold key commander for Sun Tzu Prime. By the time you get to KVK2, the meta might shift, so do some research before swapping. As for which equipment to build, I will put a link in the description for meta gear sets. After you get VIP 12, which should happen near the end of KVK 1, you should be thinking about where to put your gems in for MTG, VIP 14, or Council 25. They each have their benefits, but here's a simple chart with the pros and cons of each side. One argument that I will make is that gear inflation has made it so that you cannot run anything but full gold sets and B plus Cs in SOC, as it does not trade efficiently if you're running purple sets. You've got whales on the field with top of the line T4, T5 refinements, and people with their hybrid legendary epic sets will just get ran over. Therefore, it's technically not the gold heads that holds you back from expanding to more marches, but the amount of gear that you have, which is why it is best to focus on march quality, such as with T5 units first. In my opinion, if you are a competitive player, you should go for Castle 25 in every playthrough to get that T5 and start snowballing, as it allows you to compete in various events such as Lohar's arm training or protect the supplies to make up for the lost gold heads from VIP 14. Alright, so just some general tips, starting off with the most important one. Manage your playtime wisely. After the first 1 or 2 weeks, dial back your playtime. Do not be playing 8 hours a day unless you want to burn out within a month. It is much more efficient to save that grinding for KVK. Number 2. Listen to leadership, especially the markers on open field. If you have a proper and experienced leadership team, which you should have, they know best and are putting markers to help you, not to harm you. Listening to markers or ignoring mails are one of the worst things you can do and will likely get you kicked, so make sure to read. And as for number 3, you should try to engage with the Kingdom community, whether through the KD Discord or chatting in-game. It makes you known, you can meet cool people, and this builds future connections for things such as potential migrations if shit goes south. Number 4. This is all about consistency. You should be participating in all events to completion, which means all the prizes that are available should be claimed. Some examples are gaining 54 stars in every Champions of Olympia season, hitting 10,000 points every AOO, showing up to all Silk Roads, etc. You get the point. You should also aim to get top 100 or top 50 every time a 20 gold head event pops up. Lastly, it is incredibly significant to know where to source your information. You should double check tips given from people in your alliance, especially the ones that claim they are pros, because half the time they don't have any validity to back them up. Ask and check their background first before you trust them. There's also plenty of educational ROK content on YouTube, with some of my favorite creators being Chiskel, Word Daddy Chasky, Billet, Rockwood Tao, and 12-inch PvPness. That's all for this guide, and I will be making more videos soon as I head into KVK2, so stay tuned if you are interested.